One of the biggest reasons people give up on their fat loss journey is because they don't see any solid progress, even though they're putting in a bunch of effort. And I really don't blame them. If I wasn't seeing the results I wanted, I'd probably quit too. But instead of throwing in the towel, you just need to pause and figure out what's holding you back from losing fat. But let me start by assuring you that you're not genetically destined to hold on to fat. I've helped enough people transform to know that ain't true. But there are 4 mistakes that I always see in my clients that can prevent fat loss despite consistent effort. In this video, I'll walk you through exactly what those mistakes are and how you can overcome them, so you can finally achieve the transformation you've been looking for. So, the first mistake is portion control. I know that sounds pretty boring, but it's absolutely imperative for you to lose fat. You see, the fastest way to lose fat is by steadily losing weight whilst working out and eating healthy. That's going to mean that the weight you lose is fat. And there's only one universal method for losing weight that always works no matter what. And that's by getting into a calorie deficit. If you don't know, a calorie deficit is just where you consume less calories than you burn on a daily basis. Now, in order to get into a calorie deficit, you need to control your portions and ideally track your nutrition. Because that way you know exactly how many calories you're eating per day. And then you can just also track your weight. And if you ain't losing weight, you know you're not in a calorie deficit. So you can just reduce your calorie intake. But where I see so many people going wrong with portion control is just not actually doing it and not being consistent with it. Maybe they control their food during the week, but then they go on a binge on the weekend. Or they might track some meals during the day, but miss out on others. And the thing is that a few hundred calories here or there can literally be the difference between you achieving your goal and you staying exactly how you are right now. So being completely honest with you, if you're not controlling your portions, your fat loss journey is going to be a waste of time. And if you're not willing to do that, then my advice isn't for you. I'm here to help people transform their physiques and change their lives. And that does take dedication. Okay, let's move on to the second mistake, which is underestimating calories. So even when people are controlling portions and tracking calories, they can still go wrong by miscalculating the calories that they're consuming. And the obvious reason why is that they don't weigh their food. If you just eyeball your portions and guess your calories that way, you ain't going to be accurate. All you need to weigh your food is a small kitchen scale. They're £10 on Amazon. And just weigh things before you eat them. It literally takes 2 minutes for each meal, so there's no excuse. And you won't even have to weigh every single thing, because a lot of what you eat will come in a packet and it will have the calories on the packet. So say you're having half a pack of blueberries, you just half the calories on the pack. Also, if you use a nutrition tracking app like MyFitnessPal, it's even easier. You can scan the barcodes of what you're eating, or you can just input the foods on the app, and you can input all like the grams and the portion sizes on there. But then what you also do need to watch out for is hidden calories. This could be things like milk in your coffee or olive oil when you're cooking. And these are an honest mistake. They can be super easy to miss, but they need to be accounted for to make sure you have an accurate reading of your calorie intake. It could also even just be having a handful of nuts or like a grazing snack during the day. Again, if that isn't accounted for, you're not going to see the results you're after. And by the way, if this is all making sense and you're driven to make some changes and achieve your goals, but you think you could do with some extra help on how to implement this all effectively and someone to hold you accountable to everything, then you're probably a great fit for my Hero program, which I created to help people transform their physique and change their life for the better. So if you're interested in more information, just apply using the link in the description and me or my team will be in touch with you. Next, we have the third mistake, which is actually avoiding your weight. The easiest way to achieve a fat loss transformation is by tracking your weight. That's because you can see how your weight is changing. And if it's not coming down, then you know you just need to adjust the calories you're consuming or the amount of calories that you're burning. And of course, that's just going to keep you in a calorie deficit. And the thing is, most people do track their weight, but not properly. There's 2 things that you need to do. The first one is weigh yourself every single day. If you don't weigh yourself frequently, you're never going to get an accurate reading, because your weight can fluctuate a lot day to day depending on different factors like your carb intake, water retention, stress levels. So if you're weighing infrequently, you might think you've actually gained weight, but you could have actually lost fat within that time, and it's just a fluctuation on that day. So what you need to do is, like I said, weigh yourself every day and then take each daily weight for the week, add them all up and divide them by 7. That's going to give you your weekly average weight. And then just compare your average weight each week to see if you're losing it at an effective rate. The optimal rate for fat loss is losing 1% of your body weight per week. And one other thing to remember, in order to get an accurate reading of your weight, is that you should weigh at the same time every day as well. If you weigh at different times, like one day you weigh before you've eaten and then one day you weigh after, it's going to fluctuate. And the easiest thing that I actually recommend is just to build it into your morning routine. That way it'll just become a habit and it'll be easy to stick to. And finally, we have the fourth mistake that lots of people struggle with, and that's poor sleep. This will literally kill off your fat loss if you don't address it. You see, when you don't get adequate sleep, your body produces more hunger hormones, which means you'll want to eat more. And that makes it way harder to stay within a calorie deficit. Even if you are in a calorie deficit, you'll be feeling hungry and feeling sorry for yourself. You'll have less energy too, which will make it harder for you to burn more calories and again make the deficit a struggle. So in order to improve your sleep quality, just focus on these three things. First, you want to have a consistent sleep schedule. So that means you go to sleep and wake up at the same time every day. What this will do is it will regulate your circadian rhythm. And that allows you to spend more time in a deep sleep phase, which is the most rejuvenating. Second, you need to limit screen time before bed. So don't use any screens for 30 minutes to an hour before you go to sleep. That's because the blue light which they emit will stop your body from producing melatonin, which is a sleep hormone. Then thirdly, don't take any caffeine for 8 hours before you sleep. So if you plan to sleep at 10, then don't have any caffeine after 2. This is because caffeine will reduce the amount of time again that you spend in a deep sleep phase. So your sleep will be less effective. And that's it. Those are the 4 mistakes that you need to avoid in order to lose fat. I'm just starting to post again on YouTube. So if you appreciate my advice, then subscribe so you don't miss any uploads. I'll be posting weekly videos on fat loss and body transformation tips to help you guys get in shape. Take care.